Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyus Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's a two-man game with me and G. Bush, Mikey McNuggets, Anthony, Steve on the other side of the glass. G, a little two-man game today.
Hey, how devastating will me and you be on the pick and roll?
Oh, well.
Are you a roller
rolling?
or are you popping?
I ain't rolling nowhere.
you
just roll me down a hill.
So I'm going to have to set the pick. And then you can just, you know what I'm saying, with the
I'll
left
pass.
hand,
I'll pass you. You go to the basket,
right.
You roll, I'll hit you.
Yeah.
When I played basketball back in the day, I was a solid passer. I hustled on defense.
You need two of those on the playground.
I'd get the rebound. I could box out, but I couldn't jump. And I couldn't make a shot to save my life.
Hey, listen, you need a couple of those.
Y'all two set a screen for me coming off that.
Okay.
Good looks all day.
Double stagger.
Good looks all day. A little double
Tyus will be here eventually, but his journey from Columbus, he was in a dead stop on the highway. Obviously, there was something serious that happened there.
Yeah.
And so at some point, Tyus is going to join us, but probably not till close to noon or 11:45. So, it's the hazards of making the trip from Columbus.
I mean, he going to have to, can he buy a house? I mean, he's getting the bag now. Can he buy the house halfway between?
Yeah, I know. Nah, he won't. He loves it down there. He's not moving. So a lot to get to today. The Guardians with a nice win. Obviously, we got plenty of Browns talk, and the insanity has begun.
Oh, yes, it is.
I mean, we have always here in Cleveland analyzed training camp and rookie mini camp and quarterbacks more than others. Mm-hmm. But this is going to a whole nother level, G. Bush. So we'll get to this too.
Yes,
we're charting. We have beat reporters charting passes allegedly.
The passes have been charted. The crazy part about it is Jason Lloyd is going crazy. He was miserable yesterday because we had to talk about throws in minicamp.
That's right.
So and then Jay, we were arguing and debating back and forth. Has this been the most hype that we've seen any sort of camp? Now we've been through Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
OBJ came and we got him in the off season. We've had Baker Mayfield. We have Johnny Manziel. I said, man, this is up there, man, because we have not had this amount of national media at rookie camp.
This is one last thing, and then we're going to.
No.
Yeah.
I got a question for you after, but you go because it's about this.
At least since I've been here, and my first Browns season covering team was 2011, but I wasn't here in this time of year, 2011, because we didn't get here till August. Mm-hmm. So I'll say in the last 13 years, whatever, it's not even close, the coverage of rookie minicamp. And I can't imagine before then when there wasn't as many avenues of media.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this is the coverage of rookie minicamp right now is
crazy.
Not even close. Forget Johnny, forget Baker. None of it was close, not like this.
Mm-mm. I haven't seen it.
I mean, it's crazy because, and I'll tell you what, our clip yesterday when you guys had Zack Jackson on is the most viewed clip in the history of the show.
Yes.
It was not about
less than 24 hours, by the way.
It was not about the draft, directly. It was not about a playoff game. It was not about a championship. It was about the thoughts of rookie minicamp and Shador Sanders. And I know Dylan Gabriel too, but the reason it hit 70,000 is mostly because of Shador Sanders.
That was the question I needed to ask G. Bush to explain to you, Bull. Yeah. I obviously know the answer to this question, but I need G to explain it to you. In the comments of every Shador clip we post, G, we got the CU Aunties posting up.
The what?
Exactly. I knew Bull wasn't going to know,
I didn't hear what
G.
you said.
The CU Aunties, however
I get it. What do you mean? I get it.
Yeah.
G, for Bull and the rest of the people out there that may not understand.
Go ahead.
Will you explain to the good people out there how the CU Aunties have helped boost UCSS to a new stratosphere?
The CU Aunties, they're one of the most established conglomerates in the Midwest. I found out about the CU Aunties because, look, in my community where we from, in the black community, when Coach Prime went to Colorado, it was a phenomenon, right? There's a lot of people. My dad went to HBCU, so historically black college, right? So he went to Jackson State. He was obviously interested. They watched him at Jackson State. A lot of people from there followed him to Colorado. Colorado was horrible. They were like, you're going to be terrible. Coach Prime was like, yeah, I'm bringing my people. I'm bringing my sons with me. We're going to do our thing out there. A lot of people started watching Colorado. Colorado became like you watched Ohio State. I watched OU if I could find them on TV. And then you watch Colorado. And it kept growing, it kept growing, it kept growing. Travis Hunter became who he was. Shador became a household name. Prime did his thing. And I didn't know because I'm here in Ohio, but they had this movement called the CU Aunties. And it's funny because they represent a group of people that necessarily aren't Jackson State fans, necessarily Colorado fans, necessarily football fans, necessarily sports fans in general. They're just a group of individuals that have been following Shador since he was, a lot of people don't know, he's been on reality TV since he was 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
So they've been following him. And now these people are like, yeah, like you ever have one of those aunts or grandmothers that love you to death and you can't do no wrong. They're not going to deal with no slander. They're like, listen, this is my grandbaby. This is my grandson. That's my nephew right there. They have taken that mantle. And I was in the barbershop and they pulled up and said, yeah, man, we just here for Shador, but we found your show. I said, oh, well, congratulations. Come on in. Let's have a haircut. But the CU Aunties is loud. They're over the top. They're passionate. And I'm going to tell you what, they show up and show out. I looked at the numbers and I'm looking at the people that's coming in, the influx of people. I'm like, what did we say? I didn't say no. What did we say? They said, no, this is we're here for 12. What's up? How y'all doing?
I mean, there's no doubt that's why the hype is so crazy. I mean, you saw a smaller version of this with Johnny Manziel, as we talked about. When Baker was here, there was a segment of the Oklahoma fan base.
Right, I remember that.
But this is, like, those things combined, multiplied by 5.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a whole nother level. The obsession, the fandom that Shador Sanders has, and so there's going to be people locked into every bit of commentary when it comes to him.
And our goal is, look, man, our goal, we have it all the time. It's like it's like a family, man. Sometimes you get married to somebody and you get in-laws.
Yeah.
Our job is to indoctrinate everybody into the family as one family.
That's
so
right.
If you're here for Shador, shout out to you guys. If you're here for the Cleveland Browns, we got their day ones. Hey, let's marry the two. Let's get some wins, and hopefully we turn this community to one Browns community and one place where, because if Shador does well, trust me, the Browns going to do. We all going to be happy.
Yeah, everybody wants that. That's the goal. No matter what you feel about him or how good you think he's going to be right now, if you're a Browns fan, you want him to succeed. Anybody rooting against him or has their agendas, whatever, you're a bad fan. I mean, it's that simple.
And we have to say this too. Like, I don't want to disparage anybody else on the team. Like, I don't want to. Some things I've been hearing about Dylan Gabriel and his size and stuff. Like, listen, Dylan Gabriel, part of the Cleveland Browns. He's going to have an opportunity to come out here and compete just like everybody else. And if Dylan Gabriel, first and foremost, I'm married to what happens on the field. If Dylan Gabriel comes out here and balls out and does his thing, salute him. He's part of the Browns. I'm going to respect it and embrace him. Just the same way with Flacco and Kenny Pickett. So I don't want to make it seem like, oh, we don't like nobody else. Nah, like this is what football is about. And this excitement level that I think we're seeing right now is a competition because we haven't seen a lot of competition in the last couple of years.
No, and the competition, and you hope the rookie brings a level of when you don't know. It's like, okay, well, maybe we could maybe the Browns finally get this late draft pick that happens every once in a while that ends up being a really good player. And that would be the same for Dylan Gabriel. You'd say, well, there's not a lot of fifth-round picks that are good. Well, at quarterback, there's also not a lot of late third-round picks that are good players either in the NFL. I mean, at quarterback. So if either of them becomes the starting quarterback and has success, it's a great story. And we're rooting for both of them to do well.
And you know exactly how. I mean, watching the Bengals, you know how one person could change your whole 100%. Organization.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Joe Burrow, they would have never signed Higgins and Chase like that.
No.
Like people used to try to laugh. Now it's like, nah, he's at the Met Gala. He's doing stuff. People following him. So look. A quarterback of that, if you get one of those guys that can change the mentality of your locker room and the organization, It's what you're looking for. It's worth it, right?
It is going to be fascinating. I think we need to, I think as a collective group, we need to realize that they're not wearing pads. There's no threat of them getting hit. I think you got to factor that into judgment of all of the quarterbacks.
Right.
You got to factor that in. But it's fun to watch, and people are excited about it. I'm not, all right, and Tony Grossi's charting throws. But all I'll say is Zack Jackson yesterday on this show, I put it on when he was on, and he said that, and again, acknowledging it's on air, there's no. He said it wasn't even close between the two in terms of throwing the ball, like the ball coming out of his hands. I have that correctly, right?
That is what Zack
said. It wasn't
correct.
close.
I didn't throw no sauce on it. I sat here like this the whole time.
Yeah.
McNuggets see me because McNuggets came to me before the show to say, "Hey, now G. Bush, you said Deshaun was getting 5,000." Him and Earl was like, "Are you jumping out the roof with this?" I said, "Listen, I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just let Zach talk and see what he say."
And for those, and obviously Tony Grossi talked up this morning about charting his passes, and he thought Gabriel was a little better. Good for him with the charting of passes. I don't know how he only charted 7 passes. I don't know what I don't. And by the way, charting passes doesn't. He made that seem as if charting passes is the end all be all. Like, did the receiver drop the ball? I don't know. Did somebody run the wrong route? I don't know any of these things. But that doesn't tell you the whole story. But all I'm going to say is, and this is true, while pretty much every other beat reporter last year was saying the Browns were looking good, Deshaun Watson's looking good, Zack Jackson was consistently saying Deshaun looks terrible and the offense looks terrible. So who was right last year?
He did say that.
We brought Zach out by me saying.
That's what he said.
This is the only beat reporter I could remember last year who told us what truly happened and did not try to feed us optimism. You told us what your eyes saw.
Yeah. And
if Zach's right again, 2 years in a row, it looks like the Browns may have found a steal in the 5th round.
And I'll tell you this about Zach, and I don't need to. Zach's not like a close friend of mine or anything. I'm friendly with him, but it's not, he and I don't socialize at all, so I'm not like just defending him. But there may be other beat reporters who break stories once in a while or whatever, and Zach's not like breaking story guy. But in terms of knowing football. And there's no offense to any of the other beat reporters. He knows football better than any of the beat reporters in town. It's that simple. And he worked for the organization at one point, but he will tell it like it is. He is not afraid to be critical.
He don't even have friends like that, bro.
Yeah, that's it.
He know Jason. They work together. He don't even speak to me when he come in. He just be like, "What's up, bro?" and roll out.
So when Zach talks about the team, I take that to heart more than most.
Yeah.
I will say that's just my opinion. You believe whatever you want to believe.
Well, that's how we hired him.
I'm just telling you how I feel about it.
That's exactly why we hired Zach to be a contributor to the UCSS family for the upcoming season. So Zach will be on with us every other week, giving us the bolts, the truth, and what he sees through his
All right, so we move on. We'll get back to football later. Let's get to the Cavs, Mike.
Yeah, they got a do-or-die game tonight, and the first conversation we have on today's Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is being brought to us by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work and taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results, but no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier at Epicor. The All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. As the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. That is easierwithepicor.com. Bull, it is Game 5 tonight between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. 7 p.m. TNT. The Cavs season is on the line. I know you weren't here yesterday when we discussed the atrocity that was Game 4, but let's try and put that behind us. Look ahead.
Can I just say one thing real quick?
Of course.
Okay. Watching that first half on Sunday, when I was a kid watching college basketball, and St. John's would be on TV. And remember, when I was a kid, St. John's was a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. Chris Mullen, Mark Jackson, Bill Wennington, Walter Berry, Shelton, like all these great players. And the first month of the season, they would play all these little rinky-dink schools, like the Manhattan College.
Bluffton's.
Yeah, it would be a lot of New York schools. You play all these rinky-dink, like barely Division I schools.
Right.
And the final score would be like 90-27. That's what it was like watching that first half. That's what it was like. So now we move forward, And yes, we said, I know a lot of people said, well, you know, they've come back down 3-1 before. No, they haven't come back down 3-1. LeBron and Kyrie came back down 3-1.
Let's get it twisted. Don't get it twisted.
Right now I have zero faith in this team. Could they win tonight? Sure. Here's what I think is going to happen, G. You tell me what you think. I think they're going to play a decent game tonight. I think they're going to win. They're going to tease us into believing they could come back, and then they're going to lay another egg in Indiana on Thursday and lose. That's how I see it. Please, hope I'm wrong.
I think they'll win. I think they'll win tonight's game, and I don't want to make it seem like that's an easy task.
No, it's not.
Because Indiana's come out back and beat them twice on starting the series off. Twice, you lose home court advantage that quickly. But I do believe that in this game they'll come out and win this game. The game that they need to win and the hardest game to win is the closeout game, Game 6 in Indianapolis. Even when you go back traditionally, you look at what the Cavs had to do. We talk about LeBron and Kyrie.
Yeah.
It took them both getting 40 points on the road.
Yeah.
In Oakland in order to beat the Golden State Warriors. Both of them had 40.
Yeah.
And they're going to need that type of game to beat the Pacers on whatever game they play, Game 6 when they come back if they win this game. But I don't know if they got that capability of doing that. I don't know. You got Donovan Mitchell. He's hobbled. I heard I was listening to Baskin and Phelps on the way to work, and Phelps was like, hey. Maybe Donovan sits and lets them try to figure this one out, and then comes back and say, bro, this ain't that type of ball game.
If he can physically, if there's any chance he can play, he's going to be out there. That guy.
He is at shoot-around this morning taking shots.
Yeah.
If you want to take
I'd be very
out there.
If he can't play, it's because he can't move.
Yeah, listen, they know what type of time it is, and I don't want to say this.
Yeah.
But look. It's sometimes I was just sitting there thinking about certain things, and I was thinking to myself, when you're younger, I don't know if this is the case. Like when you're Darius Garland or when you're Evan Mobley, and for this, those are the next two guys we look to step up. Like, are they too young to realize that there's an opportunity? Like, I
don't think so.
Are they too young?
They shouldn't be.
Are they too young to realize that you look around and you watch TV and you say, hey, guys, if somehow we could pull this series out, the only guys that's standing in our way between going to the NBA Finals is the New York Knicks and the hobbled Celtics team at this point. How much are they thinking like, man, this is a perfect opportunity for us, not to say we're skating nowhere or we're sliding through undetected, but this is a great opportunity to play teams that we've been better than all year. We can get a game at home. Next game is going to be tough, but if we can get that game, we got to feel really good about home court advantage, and that is why we played this hard to get the best record in the league. I think they'll get this game. I think they'll play hard. I just don't know how much it's going to really affect them in Game 6.
Yeah, I mean, with Don again. On paper, they probably should lose this game. I don't know, because with Donovan banged up, it's hard to have any faith in this team. They feel spineless, soft, and they've been so out hustled and manhandled in this series, Mike.
We are going to learn more about the makeup of this Cavs team in the first 6 minutes of tonight's game than I think we could say we've learned in the 2.95 years that this group's been together. I'm serious. If this team comes out and folds tonight, then anyone over the last 3 years that says this team's soft, no mental fortitude, no backbone, you know what? You're going to be 100% right.
And what I've been saying for 2 years, that the regular season doesn't matter, is once again proven.
You know what?
Hold on, let me finish this point. All that stuff. Maybe 60 minutes isn't the exact mark, but by the end of tonight's game, we may not have a definitive answer that they are tough and they are mentally strong enough and they have a backbone and they have the balls needed to win at the high. We may not have a yes, but we certainly can get a no. And we certainly will know early on in this game if they're going to come out and roll over like they did in Game 4, which in my opinion was an inexcusable effort in a crucial, basically must-win playoff game. Game 4 in a 2-1 series is typically a game where both teams know the stakes. It's either going back 2-2 or you're going down 3-1, where historically speaking, only 5% of teams have ever come back from that deficit. 13 teams in the history of the league have done it out of 280 chances. Not a high percentage.
Yeah.
And you come out and you lay a dud, an inexcusable dud. If that doesn't bring out your best effort from the start at home in Game 5, then everyone over the last 3 years who said soft, fragile, weak, can't win the big one, you will get your validation tonight.
Yeah, and nobody wants that. We don't want, and nobody wants to be proven right that the Cavs are soft. I mean, unless you're not a Cavs fan.
That's the worst nightmare, man. Because next year they go 82-0. It won't matter. Nobody will care.
It won't matter.
There's no way. I know. Again, there's always a percentage of the fan base that likes to just enjoy the games as we go, and whether it leads to a championship, they're going to the game or they're watching the game. They want to be entertained that day. But how can I get enthused about the Cavaliers? Like, we thought Kenny Atkins, that the problem was only the coach. And this, if they lose tonight, that's worse than anything that happened the last 2 years.
Yes.
Because to me, the way that I look at it with the aprons and all of this other good stuff, and the way it's so difficult to retool your team, it puts them in a situation where they're just hoping and wishing that Evan Mobley because here's, to me, everybody else is at their ceiling.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, as great as he is, you know where he peaks. And the only reason he's peaking is because of his size. Like,
it's a high peak, but
it's a very, he's peaked.
Right.
He's great.
Yeah.
Jared Allen has peaked. You're never
100%.
getting, he's 100, he peaked 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you any more.
No.
You can't ask him to turn it on and be a mean guy overnight.
Yeah.
That's all. That season from Jared, by the way, which is a good season, that's all you can ask for from a fourth option. Like, G, you're right. And when you talk about the age of these guys, we keep talking about this Cavs team being a super young team. They're not as young as I think a lot of people think they are. I'm going to read some of the core guys' ages.
Yeah.
They're not old by any means. Do not misconstrue old.
I'm misconstruing
with
right
young.
now.
But Jared Allen's 27 years old. Darius is 25. DeAndre Hunter's 27. Donovan's 28. Evan's 23. That's by far the youngest, or not by far, but the youngest of the core. But this is fourth year in the league.
Yeah.
And this is Darius's sixth year in the league, I believe, fifth or sixth year. And Jared Allen's been around for 7-8 years. Donovan entering his it'll be his 9th season next year.
Yeah.
Like, these guys aren't newbies to the spotlight.
Yeah.
They haven't had that deep playoff run yet, but it's not like this is a guy in their second or third year still trying to figure out the league. These guys all kind of understand what it takes to be at that high level, even if they haven't reached it yet.
How much did you guys talk yesterday about the Hunter push and Matherin getting kicked out? Did you really talk about it? Or
we talked about how the fact it didn't spark anything in Cleveland.
And it was a huge break for the Cavs. Like, Matherin started the whole thing, so I actually think the refs got it right, but they got lucky because Hunter overreacted. Like, you can't lose your cool like that. But whatever. Matherin's one of their good players. He got kicked out of the game.
He's the leading bench scorer in the NBA playoffs.
Right. And they still when that happened, I'm like, all right, Cavs are going to go on a run. Nothing.
We had been asking, and I'm curious what you think on this. I don't think I asked you the specific question yesterday. You specifically, and both too, have been asking, like, one of these Cavs guys got to fight back.
Yeah.
Like, someone's got to show some fight. And Hunter did.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of what we had been waiting for.
And then nothing came of it.
And if it did anything, it inspired Indiana.
Yeah, it did.
I don't think – I was kind of getting at this like on a previous point. Yeah. They are who they are.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
It ain't like – you know, some psychologists and people talk about how a person is fully developed in terms of their personality and the core tendencies of who they are by the age between 11 and 13.
Yeah.
So you could try to reform people after that, and you try to, unless something catastrophic happens in your life where it's like, oh, let me wake up. You are who you are. Let's just be honest with you. Jared Allen is not fighting nobody.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
Darius Garland, I have never even seen Darius Garland argue with nobody.
Nope.
Most likely he's laughing and just enjoying time. Evan Mobley, I don't even see him speak. It's captions under. It's closed captions for hearing impaired when Evan Mobley is playing. He don't even talk to people. Sam Merrill, he's smacking people in the mouth?
Nope.
Donovan
Mitchell's their only tough guy.
Dean Wade is a tough guy. Isaac Okoro, I would let marry one of my aunts He doesn't want to be with none of them. They don't look like,
Yeah.
But I like Isaac Okoro is a great young man. Who in your enforcer can't be a 6'2" Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, no.
So no, they're never going to do anything ever.
Yeah.
Jalen Tyson is nice. Max Strus is fiery. He gets into it.
Yeah.
But like you said, one of the things we looked at, you know who used to be their enforcer? George Niang.
By the way,
Niang was that guy for him. He's no longer here.
Speaking of which, there was a play, I think it was in the third quarter. I don't know if you guys, because at this point, your eyes are probably glazing over, so who knows if anybody paid attention. But I happen to notice.
Halftime was painful.
Oh.
I couldn't even watch them.
I already know what play you're thinking of, and it was game 3.
No. You're not on playing that. Sam Merrill
Oh, never mind. Different play.
was going to the basket, and he got destroyed. I didn't remember who hit him. Somebody hit him, fouled him, then threw him on the ground. And Sam Merrill and the other guy fell to the ground on the Pacers. I can't remember who it was. And then when the Pacers guy got up first, he kind of pushed Merrill. Kind of just, I don't know, kneed him or pushed him. Merrill did nothing. Nobody else did anything. The Pacers used him like a rag doll.
And the Pacers ain't tough. This is a crazy part.
They look tough in this series. They're not a tough team.
That's the hard part for me. No disrespect to any Pacers people out there. Let me just keep it real.
They deserve all credit. They've been kicking ass.
They've been kicking our tail. But when you look at their roster, they're not going. If they beat the Cavs, they're not. They have a 2% chance of winning.
They beat the Knicks last year. I wouldn't count them out.
Beat the Knicks.
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you this. The reason why they don't is the Knicks are able to refer to more goonish tendencies than they are.
That's true.
If they're gonna let you play this type of game, the Pacers, all they realized was, hey, they're gonna let us get this off.
Yeah.
They're not really. The Knicks are not. Josh Hart is not going. Anunoby is not letting you. Jalen Brunson, all of them. They are not going to let you get. You think they're
tough? Yeah.
You think they're gonna let them come in the Garden, game 1 and 2, and put no. Stop. Now listen, on some basketball, if they just want to outduel them, but that's my problem with the Cavs. It's not like the Cavs don't have ball players. But the problem is, honestly, and I've been saying it from the get-go. This season, people said it was about Mobley. I said it was about Garland. I said it was about Garland. He's been in the league 6 years. He's a max player. Again, we are in the playoffs. Last year, people say it was the broken jaw. It was the broken jaw. He lost a lot of weight, all this good stuff. He was going through some stuff. All right. This year, first round, it's the toe. I know he's going through a lot of pain, this, that, and the third. Bro, you a max dude.
Let's go.
And Donovan Mitchell is hurt. We can't have you having 13 or 12 or don't know where you're at. Those are the type of guys that you got to step up and you got to play well. And right now, I don't think I would rather trust at this point Evan Mobley more than I would trust Darius Garland. Because Evan Mobley, I think, is less hurt.
Yeah.
And at least Evan Mobley shows a little more fight than what I see normally out of Garland. I don't know.
Honestly, outside of Mitchell, the only guy I can't really say anything that's been disappointing is Max Strus.
That's it.
Strus been awesome.
That's it.
Mobley's been okay. I mean, he's been fine, but not he hasn't raised his game in the playoffs.
Nah.
Darius has been a disappointment. Ty Jerome's cost himself millions of dollars.
Can we see Mobley's numbers?
And the rest of the bench is done. That's the difference, guys. We talked about this big advantage of the bench. The Pacers bench has been a million times better than the Cavs bench. Right now they're deeper because, obviously the Cavs dealt with some injuries. But the Pacers, they're just getting good, consistent play from everybody that goes in there. Everybody's playing solid basketball for them.
This is something Jason and I were talking about off air yesterday. The Cavs' superpower all season have been their depth.
Yeah.
And we talked going into the series how Indiana's bench was far superior than Miami's.
Yeah.
And even though I thought it was close, I still gave the edge to Cleveland.
It's not been close, right? It's not been close. Indiana's been a million times better.
That may not even be putting it in good enough context because Ty's been in complete MIA.
Yeah.
With Mobley and with Garland being hurt, Sam Merrill's had to kind of find his way in the starting lineup, and he's been kind of what you expect, nothing special, but he's done a relative job filling in that spot. You got nothing from Okoro. You got nothing from Dean Wade.
Yeah.
And those are your 4 bench guys.
Yeah, no.
And when Sam Merrill, who's filling in and giving you, he's not giving you anything, but you're also not expecting a ton from him when he fills in there.
Yeah.
If that's the best you're getting from your bench, you're getting nothing. And they're getting Matherin, who's been awesome in this series. Obi Toppin has been awesome in this series. TJ McConnell has been awesome in this series. Ben Shepherd making shots from the corner. He's been up and down. Thomas Bryant's been the best backup big in this series.
Yeah.
And Thomas Bryant stinks.
He's terrible.
He looks like a mess, that guy.
That's his whole career, by the way.
Yeah.
He was a 5-star kid.
Yeah.
Ton of talent, just could never seem to put it together.
He just looks like.
But whoever they put in there
has
contributes.
played well. Yeah.
Everybody. There's nobody having a bad series for Indiana.
And every one of them people that's coming in off the Patriots bench got an attitude.
Yeah.
Like somebody stole something from them.
Yes.
Like, we come try. You know what? Now that I say it, maybe that should have been on us. The record really blinds you to a lot of different things. Like next year, there shouldn't be anybody. I don't care how great it looks. There should be nobody championing Dean Wade and Okoro. Those guys have been unplayable in 3 straight playoff series.
Yeah.
And we've seen it against multiple teams. It ain't like it's the same teams. Orlando, y'all look terrible.
Knicks.
Boston, Knicks, you look horrible in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's just one team that was and that's the thing with the Cavs. We are so interested in saying, well, it's just a bad matchup. Well, it can't be a bad matchup against all the best teams in the East.
Gee, you're more talented. It's not a bad matchup. The Cavs are more talented.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
Top to bottom. They have the 2 best players in the series if everyone's healthy. Mitchell and Mobley is better than anyone
no doubt.
individually on Indiana.
By the way, you think about this, and obviously there's still games to win, and we don't want this to happen, but we could be looking at a Final Four in the NBA of Minnesota, who's never won a championship, Oklahoma City, who's never won a championship, the Knicks, who haven't won in over 50 years, and
Indiana.
The Pacers, who have never won a championship.
It'd be crazy. G, to your regular season thing, your regular season success, I got a stat for you. Then we'll move on, talk some Browns. We'll get back when Tyus is back in, talk a little about Donovan's injury. But in the history of the NBA, history of the league, 16 teams have won 64 regular season games and had an average margin of victory of at least 9 points that season. OKC and Cleveland are 2 of those 16. So take them out of, I'm going to give you the number of 14. Of those 14 teams prior who won at least 64 regular seasons with an average margin of victory of at least 9 points, 13 made the finals.
Who's the only one that didn't?
The Spurs in 15-16, who lost to the Thunder, and that was the same in the semifinals.
Yeah.
That was the same year the Warriors won 73 regular season games. They didn't even finish. They were 67-15, didn't finish first in their conference.
I remember
We're
that
6
year.
games back. But
So this Cavs team might be the most fraudulent team in the history of the NBA.
Yep.
well, if they lose, they will have lost in the same round the Spurs team did. To
Historically
the Thunder in
fraudulent.
Didn't they have a big injury too? That team.
that was the Kawhi Zaza year. Yeah.
Yep.
But my point is, regular season success does not necessarily translate to postseason success. We've talked about that at length. The way the Cavs dominated the regular season, historically speaking, from that perspective, was a shoo-in for what the Cavs should have gone to at least a step above where they had been. And if they lose in the Eastern Conference semifinals, especially if they lose 4-1, losing 3 games at home, it would be one of the most disappointing flameouts in NBA history.
In sports
and I
history.
refuse to have anyone tell me anything else. Injuries played a factor, sure. But they were all healthy in Game 4, and they got boat raced.
Let's
Down
face
by
it.
41 at halftime with everyone healthy.
In Game 1, they were missing Garland. Obviously, Game 2, they had a lot of guys hurt. Games 3 and 4,
They
they've
should
had
have won
everybody.
Game 2 with those guys hurt as well. It
What's
took
that?
an epic collapse in Game 2.
That's right.
Even without those guys.
I don't want to hear. Listen, they've been outplayed in this series.
Period.
Bottom line. That's it.
And the people that are saying there's injuries, you guys are idiots. Listen, you guys are the ones that Bull describes as just want to go to the game. If you want to go to the game, that's just fine. Just say, listen, I'm a casual. Listen, I'm going to support my team regardless. But if you call yourself a hardcore sportsman, you know it's part of the game. Steph Curry is not playing right now. Listen, Jason Tatum is out right now. Guys are injured. Like, this part of the game.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday missed a bunch of the first round. This is part of the game. When you use injuries as we were injured you sound ridiculous. The Cavs have been outplayed. Even more ridiculous was, they were gassed that second game. How are you gassed and you don't play all year? This the bench guys playing.
Again, I don't want to hear about injuries because in game 1 it was just Darius. They're good enough. They won 64 games. Obviously, Darius is important. They should have been able to win that game without Darius.
Should have.
Game 2, everybody's out, but they blew a huge lead.
They was up 20-something.
So I don't want to hear about injuries there either. Game 3, and you can't talk about injuries in Game 4 because those same guys played in Game 3 and won. So I don't want to hear that they're injured again in Game 4 when they were perfectly fine in Game 3.
Exactly.
I understand they're dealing with injuries. They're not 100%. How many players are 100% in the NBA right now?
Nobody.
0.
Yeah, I mean,
Tyrese Halliburton's dealing with a hand injury, too.
The Pacers have been the better team. They have kicked their ass, and we'll see what happens tonight.
We'll make our official picks later in the show when Tyus is joining us. He said he's through traffic, should be here.
Did you say joining?
Joining.
I thought you said joining.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. We'll never know. Thankfully, YouTube doesn't keep a live record of what we just said.
Right.
But when Tyus gets in, we will do our official picks, previews, and a little update on Donovan, who I get word looked pretty good in shoot-around for whatever
So we
it's
just
worth.
gave an update. There's no need for an update now.
I'll show you the video.
Okay.
All right, Bull, tell us a little about Menu RX where we talk a little Browns for a sec.
So Menu RX is awesome. Dr. Jake May and the crew, they work with people to get in better shape, get more fit, lose weight. If you're someone, especially guys, because a lot of those big box weight loss centers, you know what I'm talking about. They're geared to women mostly because it's most of their customers are women. Not that Menu RX can't help women too. Absolutely, men or women, it doesn't matter. But for the guys out there that are watching specifically, if you're overweight, if you're obese and you're struggling and you don't know where to turn, Menu RX is a great option. You work with scientists and nutritionists who specifically will work one-on-one with you to make a weight loss plan that is tailored specific to you, your body type, your needs. And guys, sometimes we're uncomfortable talking about these things, but it's someone you can talk to that can help. So go to menu-rx.com today. Check out what they can do for you. Get a free consultation. And if your health insurance could possibly cover it, they do take HSA, FSA payments, so it may be $0 out of your pocket. So no matter what you're looking for, to get in better shape, chasing peak performance, building your body, losing weight, go to menu-rx.com. That's menu-rx.com.
So, guys, we got some unfortunate Browns news yesterday. I think we expected it to a certain extent, but the Browns officially making it official that JOK will miss the 2025 season. He has been placed on the PUP reserve list. The Browns put out a statement. JOK put out a statement. This comes from the Cleveland Browns. Jeremiah's health is of the utmost importance to us, and although he has made progress towards recovery, we've made the decision to place him on the reserve PUP list, which means he will not play football during the 2025 season. Jeremiah has the full support of our team, and we expect him to continue to be a part of the organization, even though he will not return to the field this year. We will not make any predictions on Jeremiah's football future at this time, but we do note that he's in good spirits and will continue to take the advice of the world-class medical experts who will continue to guide his progress and recovery. It's a tough blow, even if we expected it.
Yeah.
For a guy who showed so much promise before suffering that neck injury last year.
His story is an amazing one, G, because he comes in as a rookie. There's a lot of hype for him. We were all excited about him. He was a player that really didn't fit a specific spot. And you're like, will the Browns be able to use him smartly? And his rookie year, he was okay. He was okay. Not great, but not terrible. And you're like, okay, well, we'll see what he does next year. And then year 2, he was a disaster. Mm-hmm. He was so bad, and I hate to keep putting this on him, but he was so bad that our buddy DeQuell Jackson, one of the best linebackers in Browns history, said, I think you got to cut him. I can't do it. So he went from the lows of the low in year 2 in terms of a football perspective. And then in year 3, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
He makes the Pro Bowl. He's one of the best linebackers in football. The guy went from a potential cut to one of the best linebackers in football. Had a great year. He signs a new contract. He starts last year off to a pretty solid start. He gets this injury, and at the time, I don't think we even realized it was anything serious.
I think if you go back and you find a tweet,
yeah,
and I remember I tweeted exactly when it happened.
Yeah.
And I said, man, JOK, man, I don't think he feel his legs.
Oh, boy.
Like, I don't.
So you knew.
I was like, this look bad. This looks, I
Yeah.
say, hey, pray for the man. And since then, I kind of know, like, a little bit, like a lot of people don't know. People be laughing. They be like, G. Bush is the most injured reserve dude in the world. Like, I literally have 3 herniated discs in my neck. So they're unoperable because of the way they sit on my spinal cord, and there's too high of a risk of paralysis for surgery. So I can't have them. So sometimes my legs go numb or my arms go. Lucky for me, it's just my arms really that really affect me, right? So I know what it's like to have spinal cord injuries. I've had neck surgery and I've had back surgery. And when I saw what happened, I just said, "Oh man, I just knew that it was a slim chance." Now, I'm not saying that I know anything more. I'm not a medical professional, and obviously, I want JOK to come back and and play to his fullest. I'm just giving you what I know from my experience and kind of an educated guess. To me, I never expected him to play this year. I don't expect him to play anymore because it's just too big of a risk. He's going to multiple doctors trying to figure anything out. The Browns are being vague about it, and the Browns should be vague about it. But, I mean, you're talking about tackling people again. Yeah. Like, you're talking about you're already undersized, you're small. He is already worried about his health because he was one of the first people to wear the Halo helmets, right? Yeah. And he cares about safety. He cares about holistic health. He's a really spiritual person. And at this point, I just don't feel like they're going to give him a clean bill of health to come back and tackle people with his neck and end up laying on that field. And that's a bad look for him, and it's a bad look for his family. But I will say, I think what the Browns are doing, I think they're giving him an opportunity by keeping him on roster to get his things in order. Like, a lot of times as players, you know, he's eligible for pension. I think it's 3 years. Tyus can speak more about this.
Yeah, I think he's got it now.
He has that.
Yeah.
But do you have your finances in order where you may be taking care of a lot of people? You may be doing a lot of things. So now we'll give you a little more time to get you some more checks in the system. Yeah. And then now that way it's a lesson of a blow to you. So that's where I think it's going. It's unfortunate, and I think you see that's why the Browns drafted a linebacker really, really high in the second round, man.
You know, it really hits home. And I spoke with another Browns linebacker, Joe Schobert. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the show yet, but Joe was on my podcast this morning. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And Joe will be on UCSS eventually. And you know, I was talking about this with him about injuries, and you know, we often as fans, and I get it. I've done it as a fan too. Sometimes we get mad at players when they hold out or they want more money, or it feels like to a fan like they're not loyal to the team. And I get that. As a fan, that's a natural reaction. But when you back up and you look at the big picture of the situation, the average football career is less than 3 years. Mm-hmm. And unlike baseball and basketball, where they have guaranteed contracts and make, you know, way more money than football players outside of quarterbacks and the super elite of the other positions, a handful of guys, most guys that play in the NFL, again, I'm not telling you to feel sorry for the amount of money they make. They make a lot of money compared to most people. But, like, guys like Dustin and Tyus, are the norm. Yeah. They're not the anomaly. They're the norm. They're the typical NFL player that plays for a few years, makes good money for a few years, good compared to most of us, but not good compared to most athletes. And then they got to have a job for the rest of their lives. They got to do other things. Most guys do.
What you doing?
And unlike, again, baseball and basketball, not that there aren't injuries in baseball and basketball, of course there are. But they don't have in those other sports, maybe in hockey they do, but not even to the level of football. As G just talked about, you're going to be dealing with this neck issue for your rest of your life.
Ever.
And almost, you see old football players, they're gnarled up, they can't walk, they got Joe Thomas, an all-time great athlete, just had to have his hip replaced.
And Joe got a six-pack. Think about it. He lost all that weight. He got it down to a great body weight. Yeah. And he like, bro, the hip. Now think about it. That's a hip replacement means you done grinded down your bones to a point where they just don't work no more.
And he's in great shape. There's so many athletes that are in terrible shape. Football players, terrible shape. We don't see a lot of these guys. And I've seen some of these older players over the years of covering sports, and they're a mess physically and mentally. So I'm never going to begrudge. I think it's an important reminder to never begrudge a player to make what they can when they can, right? And so you got to keep that in mind. This is a shame, obviously, from a human standpoint. It's a shame from a football standpoint. JOK seems like a really good dude. He's become a hell of a football player. Again, I don't know any more than you do or that we know now. But if he's out a year and a half because of this injury, it's hard to believe at some point he's going to be able to play. Like, what would change that would be able to make him play?
I mean, you're talking about the way he plays the game.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not even talking about we just want seeing if he's able to run as fast as he used to be, to be as twitchy, to be as I mean, we're talking about like nerves gonna grow back, people. That's a whole nother situation. And lucky for him, think about it, he got that contract right before the season.
Yep.
If he doesn't have that, I mean, that's a tough thing. Now, it sucks. And I think a lot of people, there's a human side to it because now, like you said, most people got to find something else to do.
Yeah.
And, once you put all your eggs into football or athletics, now it's like, okay, what are we doing now? And I'm lucky for him. He's a very smart guy. He does a lot of different things. He's well read. He's highly educated.
Yeah.
So I think he'll find a nice soft place to kind of retire, but at the end of the day, you never want to see that happen to nobody.
Yeah, maybe he'll stay with the organization and do something with the organization. I don't know, but it seems like the Browns are handling this with a lot of class, and good for them.
Last thing, we'll move on, but when we were playing that montage, I had forgotten he was one of the only players that wore the Guardian cap last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, G mentioned that he was one of the first guys to do it.
Yeah, he was, I think, the only guy on the Browns starting defense that committed to wearing that, and I just forgotten, so it shows not even the steps in the right direction can necessarily prevent it. Maybe we should have known, other than the Carson Schlesinger pick, when they interviewed Mason Graham in his first actual interview after being drafted, he referred to JOK as Coach JOK. And it registered in my mind, and I wrote it down, and then I forgot about it until I saw yesterday that this news came out, and I was like, you know what? Should have saw that one coming.
I was saying the same McNuggets. I heard Andrew Berry talk, and he was saying, comparing Carson Schlesinger to JOK, and he said, JOK, he referred to JOK in the past tense 2 times. He said JOK was tremendous, twitchy athlete. JOK was one of those guys that could move, and then he caught himself and said JOK is like what, and I was like, and somebody was like, don't look too far into it. I'm like,
I did this. Not that, but with the Mason Graham Coach JOK, the pieces, the crumbs were all there.
Yeah,
of course there was something to that. He wouldn't have said was, and I mean, hey, we wish him the best.
Do you think he'll ever play a snap in the NFL again?
Probably not.
No, I don't. I thought when I seen him down, and then usually you hope that you hope that you get out of hospital. And usually, generally speaking, when they get out of hospital, things get better very quickly.
Right.
It was just quiet. Like, it was super quiet after, and he was just gone like a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not like an Achilles tear where you're like, okay, it just takes a long time to rehab. Like, it's going to be over a year and a half at this point. What would possibly change that he'd now be able to play? I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. Maybe there's some technology that makes it, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that good old technology.
Yeah, to catch up with your tech.
From a loss on the Browns defense to 2 gains, we are going to get to our next topic. A quick reminder, if you don't follow us on social media, these are the accounts.
What are you doing if you're not following us?
At Old Clee Sports on Instagram. We have the Ultimate Clee Sports Show on TikTok. You get extra content, some behind-the-scenes stuff. We got some TikTok ideas that Anthony's going to start executing here in the near future. So make sure you guys follow us on social media for even more content. G. Bush, the Browns signed 2 veteran safeties yesterday, Rayshawn Jenkins and Damontae Kazee, both of who have played pretty significant roles throughout their careers, not just special teams guys. And at first I was like, oh, competition. And then I went and I looked at the Browns safety room and their depth chart at the safety position. And outside of Grant Delpit, a lot of unproven commodities.
They're
Gee, is there a chance?
Every other safety on the roster before yesterday, besides Grant Delpit, was undrafted.
Fact.
Everyone.
Yeah, this is now the entire safety room with the 2 new additions. But you have Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman, Trey Dean III, Chris Edmonds, Donovan McMillan, the undrafted free agent they just signed, Rayshawn Jenkins, and Damontae Kazee. Gee, is there a chance Jenkins or Kazee can find their way into the starting lineup for this Browns defense this year, opposite of Grant Delpit?
Of course. And Grant Delpit got injury issues. Grant Delpit might not even be playing. Grant Delpit missed. He missed 4 or 5 games a year like Denzel Ward. These guys, first and foremost, I'm not even going to cap. I don't even know what these dudes look like. We played that game where, he said, is this a Guardians relief pitcher or a mechanic?
Yeah, right.
If they was like, are these dudes down south rappers from Atlanta or Cleveland Brown safeties? I would not know.
No.
Like, this is, of course they do. Ronnie Hickman last year had some trouble communicating. Once again, Tyus, we don't know why. We got guys, anybody that goes to the Browns secondary cannot figure out what the call is. But of course, this is one of the worst secondary groups in terms of like position groups. To me, this is the new linebacker core for the Cleveland Browns. Remember a couple years they had no linebackers?
Yeah.
And we was just like, they was just throwing people in there, getting them off the streets.
Yeah.
These guys are now worse than that. To me, like, they've spent no money in this group at all.
No. Now, I'll say this. When you're still a free agent in May, nobody really wanted you. Yeah. You were low demand. So it's not like these guys are great players. But G's right. Everybody besides Delpit has done nothing. Ronnie Hickman's at least played. The other guys that were here have never played or barely played. Some of them were undrafted last year. I would assume that both these guys will make the roster. And I think there's a decent chance that one of them is going to be the starter, even if Delpit's healthy, would be the starter with Delpit. Kazee started some for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like, if he could start some for Pittsburgh, he could start some for Cleveland.
Could he get some reps over here?
Yeah. He played for the Steelers. How many games did he start for the Steelers, Kazee?
Last year in particular?
Yeah.
He played a little bit. He had an interception.
He played in 15 games, according to Pro Football Reference. He only started 1 game last year, but started 9 the year before.
Yeah, so he started 10 games the last 2 years. All right. So he's their third safety, whatever
and he played for the Cowboys, too.
Yeah.
Right? All right, well.
They're both veteran players. I
wouldn't be surprised if one of the, actually.
Jenkins started 9 games for Seattle last year.
The fact
and
that they
17 2 years in a row before that.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that they signed two veteran centers in May tells you all that you need to know about what they think of their safety group.
Right. Because listen, they could have wasted a pick and said, let me go get a rookie. Right. They would have been cool if I was in that secondary group. I'd been like, oh, they got rookies. I could beat them out. I know the system. It's going to take a long time for them to get ramped up. No, they wouldn't got guys who've been playing a lot for teams that are better than you. So like they're like, come on in, like that. And so, and another thing that I would look at is, I would safeties to me is a position where it's been devalued a little bit. I would only have corners. To me, I would evolve my defense where my safeties, if I have bigger corners, I would play them at safety. You're not coming up tackling that much anyway. You don't really have the ability to lay big hits on people and have really, guys that are just patrolling the middle being enforcers. Those guys are done.
David Fulcher.
Bob Sanders. Like, they don't have those guys no more. So for me, Lynch, they don't have them. So I would rather guys back there that can cover tight ends, that got better footwork and better coverage skills overall. I told Martin Emerson, if he want to get his money off, Martin Emerson to me is a prototypical safety in today's game. He's a little more physical. He's longer. He's bigger. Doesn't have the great change of direction. But what he can do with that length is cover tight ends and guys that are coming over the middle. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that works. But, I would expect one of these guys to definitely continue the camp competition at safety. It's going to be hot and heavy, and I don't know who will start.
I would bet there's a better than 50% chance that one of those two is starting and that it's 95% they're both on the roster.
Yep.
They're both 31 years old.
They like old safeties, too.
Jenkins had a more productive season last year. Kazee's been a little more productive overall in his career, just going through their overall numbers. Kazee has 17 interceptions in his career. Jenkins has 10. Jenkins a little more of a run guy against the run.
There's no long-term answer there, but
for a year stopgap, it kind of fills the Rodney McLeod hole.
There you go, Big Doug. I was just going to ask about it. I was going to say that. And they love Rodney McLeod.
Yeah.
They act like he was. I'm like,
he was one of their best offensive players last year, G.
Yeah, they love. That's messed up.
He had 2 touchdowns, which is legitimately one of their best offensive players last year.
Oh my God.
McLeod, they love a good old savvy vet back there, and like. They love an 86 speed safety. So, they got a couple of them.
He had more touchdowns last year than Elijah Moore.
That's wild.
So don't you dare tell me he wasn't one of their best offensive players.
Man.
Elijah Moore will have more touchdowns than that this year playing with Josh Allen. He still won't be that good, but I'll have more than 2, I bet, this year.
All right, we're going to move on. I was informed, and I guess this is a bad job out of me, guys. But my boy, Dogecoin McRiblets, who's called in the show before, just DM'd me and said, when Mason Graham was referring to Coach Jock, it wasn't JOK Jock, it was Jock Caesar Jock.
That's a terrible job.
So bad job out of me.
Well, mine is,
but G's story.
The point was still correct. I just when I heard Jock, I forgot Jock Caesar was their defensive line coach. I heard Jock, I thought JOK Jock.
All right.
Hand up my bad. Sorry, guys, but the point still remains JOK out for this season.
You got to learn to get the loot, the warrant, then the crook. See, you guys didn't get the Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
You got to find. Okay.
I don't know that. I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't know. I don't know the details.
Come on.
I get word that Tyus is a few minutes away now, so
Okay.
we'll get Tyvus's bread and butter out of the way before he gets back, and that's a little baseball bowl after Epicor. Today's show brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. That is easierwithepicor.com. Bull, it was quite the day for the Cleveland Guardians. It started with Brayan Rocchio being optioned to Columbus.
Yes.
It continued with Ben Lively getting hurt warming up on a changeup.
Yep.
It concluded with a convincing win for the Guardians. Gabriel Arias with another 3 RBIs. Let's start in that order with the Rocchio news, then we'll go Lively in the big picture. But, Bull, will you explain to everyone out there, you and I had a conversation this morning, about what Rocchio's future, or what's in store in Rocchio's future after being optioned to Columbus?
So, just a clarification, because sometimes people get confused by the language. A lot of people don't get it. When you see a transaction with a player, okay, when a player gets sent to the minors, or gets taken off the roster, there's a variety of ways it can be done. Sometimes it'll say a player's option to the minors, or it'll say, Brayan Rocchio is optioned to AAA Columbus. Sometimes they will say Tristan McKenzie has been outrighted to Columbus. And then they could say a player's been designated for assignment. And people maybe you're a sports fan, maybe you're a casual baseball fan, and you want to have a conversation with your friends, and you don't know what these things mean, but you're afraid to ask anybody. So I'm going to explain these different distinctions to you. Okay.
And he's of the lowest con. No, go ahead.
No, yeah. So, and then I'll get into Rocchio himself. So, every major league team has an active 26-man roster, right? The Guardians that are on the field that are playing are on the 26-man roster. They're active. All 26 guys are eligible to play. But every organization, in addition to their 26-man roster, has an organizational 40-man roster. To play to be called up to the majors, you have to be on the 40-man roster. Okay? So each team has guys in the minors that are on the 40-man roster, even though they're not on the 26-man roster. Now, when guys go on the injured list, they remain on the 40-man roster unless they are put on the 60-day injured list. then they're taken off the 40-man roster temporarily, and then when they're activated, they have to put people back on. Now we get to the initial terms. What's the difference between being optioned and being assigned, being assigned outright to the minors? When you're optioned to the minors, that means you are on the 40-man roster, and then you go to the minors, and you're still on the 40-man roster. Brayan Rocchio was optioned to the minors. That means he's still on their 40-man roster. So in 2 weeks, if they want to call him back up, they can with no problem. He's on the 40-man roster.
What is the limit of options on a person's career?
So, I can't remember the exact number now. It depends on the player.
Isn't it 5?
I want to say it's 6. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6.
I'll look it up.
It's something like that. But there's a lot of tricky rules when it comes to exactly how many times you can be optioned.
But there is a limit.
There is a limit.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what we get at.
Like eventually, like Tristan McKenzie was out of options.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Guardians did with Tristan McKenzie is they designated him for assignment.
5 times per season, according
Five
to
times
MLB.
per season, right?
.com.
But there's also a limit to how many times you can be, how many different seasons you can be optioned. And I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head.
In your totality of your career.
That's right. And once you reach a certain veteran status, you can't be optioned without your permission. So when Tristan McKenzie was designated for assignment, that means there's 3 options for the team. They have a week to either trade him, cut him, or if he clears waivers, they can then send him to the minors. But when he gets sent, if you look at the transaction when Tristan McKenzie got sent to the minors, after he was designated for assignment, nobody claimed him on waivers. They didn't trade him. You'll look at the transaction, it'll say he was assigned to Columbus. So that means he's off the 40-man roster. So if Tristan McKenzie is to come back to the Guardians, I can't remember. Most teams keep, during the season, a full 40-man roster. Sometimes they're at 39 briefly. I can't remember off the top of my head if the Guardians right now are at 40, but assuming they're at 40, if they want to bring Tristan McKenzie back up, somebody's got to come off the 40-man roster, which means they'll either transfer some. When you see during the season a guy get transferred to the 60-day IL, that's to open up a 40-man roster spot.
So is Tristan McKenzie, is he technically a free agent?
He could have been a free. So McKenzie had 2 options. Once he cleared waivers and was not traded,
right,
he was assigned to the minors. Now, because he is out of options, he could have chosen to become a free agent. The reason he didn't is because he's got a guaranteed $2 million this year.
Okay, and
if he had chosen,
nobody wanted him.
Nobody wanted him. Somebody would have signed him for nothing,
for free, right?
But if he had declined to go to the minors and became a free agent, he would have lost his guaranteed money for the rest of the year.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and that's why he took the assignment to the minors to still get his $2 million this year. But if he thought, he could have become a free agent and signed somewhere else, but he wouldn't have gotten $2 million from anybody, even though it's not a ton of money in baseball terms. Now, that all being said, hopefully that's clarified it with you, even though I didn't remember exactly how many options per season.
Have you ever seen that thing on YouTube where a guy from a place explains certain things? Like they'll be in a white room and it's a podcast where they say, here's a lawyer explaining what retainers are.
Oh, yeah.
Or here's a gambling pit. I watched one for a casino guy who says, I'm a gambling guy who is over the security and here's how we catch people cheating.
Yeah.
You should do that for baseball terms. You should be like, listen, here's the
nerdy baseball
pretty
terms.
Good, like that.
So now, in terms of Rocchio specifically, this was a couple of weeks coming here. We kind of knew that this was a possibility. I've been saying for a week or two. Obviously, he's been losing his playing time, and it was time for him to go to the minors. He's been a total disaster. What his long-term future with the team is, who knows? We all kind of given up on Arias, and look, he's now become, even though if you look deep into his numbers, some of his numbers are concerning when it comes to Arias. But the bottom line is he's been productive. He's right now an above-average major league player. And we had given up on him. So I'm not going to say Rocchio has no chance, but he's completely lost right now. I mean, his numbers are horrible.
So if you revisit the Jimenez trade, they got playoff Rocchio. I felt like since they thought they had Rocchio, that they made Jimenez expendable. Looking at what he's done, I haven't followed him with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Do you still like the trade or like the move because of Arias?
I didn't love it, but and it was funny is Jimenez got off to that great start. He had
He's done nothing since.
3 or 4 home runs. And then he was awful. He was batting like cleanup for the first couple of weeks. Yeah. Hit a few home runs. Since then, he's done nothing. Now he's hurt. and he's on the injured list. So he's really done nothing since that. Obviously, he plays great defense as he always does.
So obviously, right now,
he had 3 homers in the first 5 games. He has 3 homers today.
So Arias is a wash. So you're like, okay, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, Arias is playing better than Jimenez, at least offensively. He's not as good defensively, and he's playing shortstop. But it's funny. I feel like we've been talking about the Guardians as if they're having a bad season, and they're not.
No, and that's what I want to get to.
They're in a 3-way tie for the second-best record in the American League, with the Yankees and Royals just behind Detroit.
When you look at the run differential, it feels unsustainable in ways, but they always seem to win in unsustainable ways because they
there's
win.
flaws in the team, no doubt. They don't look like a great team, but they're winning.
I think
a lot.
Yeah, the record is kind of surprising. I had them coming in 4th.
Yeah.
The Twins started off bad, but now the Twins are hot.
They've won 8 in a row. The whole division's playing well besides the White Sox.
So
the White Sox aren't as bad as they were last year.
It's just, I think it's one of them things that they don't win exciting.
Yeah.
And I think the savvy baseball people understand that there are really big flaws in the team.
Yeah.
And when they play very good teams or very good teams with dominant pitchers, they make you understand very quickly that they don't have bats.
That's true, but yesterday they faced one of the really good pitchers, Freddie Peralta, and he was coming off. He had been pulled from his last start, and that Arias double that knocked in a couple of runs. Churio took a bad. He should have caught that ball probably.
Weird.
I don't know what he did. He took a bad angle. I don't know if he didn't see it, but whatever. I mean, they scored 4 runs off of Peralta, and Peralta's a good pitcher. So that was good. Jose, I think, stole 3 bases yesterday, didn't he?
He was good. The big thing from yesterday's game, though, was the Lively injury. We have a little video.
Well, yeah, we got to get to that. So,
Steve, you want to take the
he's
video
been their best
here.
pitcher.
I told you last week when I was on the panel, I feel better knowing what I'm going to get from Lively.
Yeah.
Just based on I've been searching Twitter all morning. I have not seen any confirmed update on Ben Lively yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously concerning because he's pitched really well, and to leave the game like that in the middle, I mean, hopefully it's nothing serious. But we'll see. That was a bummer. He was pitching well too. He's done a real nice job.
3 shutout innings.
I'm still pissed off from last year. Why y'all do my man like
that? They did.
Hey, Lively. Hey, listen, you tell them unless you get written consent. Hey, when y'all make the playoffs again this year, they don't be playing no tricky stuff with this roster, bro. How is he not? He was the best pitcher last year.
He was. Well, now Bybee was the best last year.
But I'm saying he was right up there.
He should have been. He was one of the 4 best. Certainly.
Yes.
It's interesting. Starting pitching has been better lately. Gavin Williams was good in his last start. Bybee was great in his last start. Ortiz pitched really well on Sunday against a really good Philadelphia lineup. And obviously the bullpen, for the most part, has been really good. Clase's back on track, and all their key guys in the pen have been pitching well. Look who just joined us. It's Tyus Powell.
It's our baseball expert
New
himself.
morning radio show host.
Yeah, man.
All right, here's the deal. Here's what we got to have happen.
What's up?
First of all, I'm a little. First of all, I was watching a little of your show yesterday. Nice job.
Thank you. You got up at 6 to watch the show?
No, I wasn't watching at 6, but I was watching when you guys were talking about your partner had this conspiracy theory about about Belichick.
Okay.
You remember that? You don't remember yesterday's show already?
Yeah, no.
He was saying that Belichick is. I can't remember what he was saying. I
You
don't
know him and Dustin say they don't be paying attention.
They don't
to y'all.
be paying attention. Yeah,
That's not true.
I don't like it.
What did he say? If you tell me what he said, I'll remember
exactly what he
so
said.
How you gonna be mad and you don't even remember what you was mad about?
I mean, it was your show. You should know what you guys were talking about.
We was talking about him. The girl took the control from the team.
Right. But he had a conspiracy theory about Belichick's trying to get fired or something. I don't remember what he said.
No, he didn't say that.
I don't remember.
Hey, Tyus, I'm going to tell you what. These dudes, y'all losing out here, man. The establishment taking L's. Y'all better not ever say nothing about people coming to practice late doing nothing.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, you just let you remember the Patriot way? I'm old enough to remember. They got what's going on now.
I said that Bill, this ain't nothing. Bill, what they doing right now is working. We talking about them, and I guarantee you on Labor Day you tune into that first game against TCU.
I think it's gross.
You're 1,000% going to do it.
I think it's gross.
That program, nobody talked about them outside of the basketball team.
Yeah.
They ain't been talked about since Drake May and whoever Sam Howell left. After that, nobody talk about them. Now everybody talks about them, and he promoting this book, so it's perfect.
That young lady is putting it on Bill right now.
First of all, I don't like it. It's
something crazy. Like, listen, he done gave her. Listen, he done X'd everybody off the wheel.
He don't care.
He don't care about nothing.
No,
he like
That son who gravy trained a job in the NFL off of him is getting nothing the rest of his life. I will say that she is one of the hottest women I've ever seen in my life. I'll admit that, but by the way, Tyus, I don't know that I can handle Tyvus's radio partner. He's short and fat like me. I'm the king of the short and fat radio people. I don't like other short and fat radio people. He's got to get it. You know, he's so I don't like. I'm anti automatically other short fat radio people.
He does. I think he like. You don't pull no punches. You just he's the same way, but he's not to your level.
Not to my level.
Your level is you don't.
Yeah, all right.
All F's is gone.
We got to get Tyus like doing the last segment of his radio show from the car. I think that's the solution, but we'll see. It is, if
what happened was it's a semi truck. I guess it either burnt up or something, and it would like blew up, and all these pops and all this stuff was out of there, messed up. Yeah. That's what set me back. I was going to be here at 11 o'clock. I was doing it.
It's dangerous though. You can't. Only Jason can pull it. Only Jason can pull that insane.
Sorry that truck happened like an hour traffic.
These things happen. Final thing on the Guardians. Overall, it was a good win.
They got Logan Allen versus Quinn.
Yeah, Allen's the only one that didn't pitch well last time around. It's not a good pitching matchup. Take the over and look at those strikeout to walk numbers for these two pitchers. Awful. They combined for 45 strikeouts and 38 walks. That's hideous.
Logan Allen's gonna win this. They're gonna win today.
I always liked them Brewers, them old school Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
I always liked them hats, man.
They're cool looking.
Yeah, they are.
The Guardians gonna win that one. I'm telling you.
Did you see the story? I'm telling you, McNuggets. Chief Wahoo has now made his way back.
This is crazy.
Why you didn't get one,
bro?
Is it like wrong if we wear it on the show?
Man, you know what's so crazy?
It is wrong.
Shout out to Swag Nito, by the way, too.
Yeah, he just made them. Those are black characters, if you didn't know. The ones we got is black. But, you know, look, our Native American brothers and sisters, they voted on it. They said they ain't trying to move on it. So, like, you know, but they brought the hats back. They in stores right now.
I was at the Guardians game for a few innings on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And they showed, and it's the first time since I've been in Cleveland that I either noticed it may have happened, I just didn't notice. But multiple people were wearing the old Chief Wahoo swag, featuring them on the Jumbotron.
I'm telling you,
they're trying to bring it back.
I'm telling you, they got mad when the Chiefs named their stadium Arrowhead and was like, we ain't changing nothing, and we gonna still say the whole game. People in Cleveland was like, I can't believe it. It's just messed up.
Well, Washington trying to get theirs back.
No, that's not true. That was a fake story. Even though we know that's the problem. Nobody knows what's real and fake anymore. That's why people believe all this dumb shit because they're like, I saw some ass on Twitter saying, vaccines will make you die in 8 seconds.
But I seen them Wahoo hats though. They was all in the top places. I ain't gonna name the places because you know what I'm saying. But they was in there.
All right, Bull, tell us about Menu RX real quick before we get into another Cavs topic. And then Albert Breer is going to join us at 12:30, talking all things Brown.
All right, Menu RX, if you're looking to get in better shape, feel better, get more athletic, lose weight, whatever you're looking for, talk to a nutritionist. Talk to somebody who studies this stuff for a living, scientists. They're part of a clinic that's all they do. It's not a big box weight loss store that sells food in their own packages to make money. These men and women are here to help. They are here to study weight loss, to help people lose weight, get in better shape, and have success and lead a better lifestyle. Go to menu-rx.com. Talk to Dr. Jake May and the rest of the crew there at Menu RX. Your insurance may cover it, so you wouldn't have to pay anything. Even if it doesn't, you might be able to cover it with HSA or FSA payments. It's a huge difference because that's pre-tax money. So whether you're chasing peak performance, building your dream body, or seeking optimal longevity, Menu RX will help you reach your goals. Go to menu-rx.com to get your consultation today. Menu-rx.com.
I promised you guys video of Donovan Mitchell at shoot-around earlier. Guys, I deliver. Here is Donovan Mitchell looking great at shoot-around this morning, a.k.a. taking free throws. That's all the movement we've seen, but he is going through and has gone through warm-ups. I talked to two people who were at shoot-around who said if Donovan's out there for shoot-around Donovan will be playing tonight. So Donovan, who's listed as a game-time decision, questionable with a left ankle injury, I would fully expect him to play tonight. Tyus, you weren't here. We talked to Cavs
We know
earlier.
that he tweets, let him know when he's going to play.
Listen.
And he will tweet if he's playing tonight.
Listen, is that left ankle taped up? Is it a little more bulky than the other one?
Yes.
He's wearing a different sock on his left ankle, so that probably means it is taped up, and I would fully anticipate it being taped up tonight. But Tyus, you weren't here when we talked about this earlier in the show, but if games 2 and 3 from Donovan were a 10 out of 10 on the Donovan Mitchell scale, what do the Cavs need tonight from Donovan on a scale of 1 to 10?
10.
In order to force a game 6. Another 10 out of Donovan?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, first of all, the home crowd is going to be there, so they're going to have some more energy going through their veins. And it's up to the Pacers to try to stop that energy. So they're going to try to come out with this swing. I think the Cavs realize, all right, if we start fast, I think they want to imitate what the Pacers did to them. They want to do that back to them in Cleveland. So I fully expect the Cavs to come out clicking on all cylinders. Anybody that get hit in the mouth like that and then don't come out swinging next, the writing on the wall to who you are. So this is, to me, is a character game to me. I need to see who they are, and I expect them to come out clicking on all cylinders. I'm talking oops, DG try to catch a body on some crossover stuff, Donovan going to the lane, Evan Mobley bowing people out the way, going up strong like that. That's what I need to see out of the Cavs, because if they do that, they're going to blow the roof off of Rocket Arena. Is it called the Rocket Arena still?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're going to blow the roof. They changed the name so many times. It's going to blow the roof off the arena, and that's what you need.
You feel it? You feel like you're going to get the crossover ability from Darius Garland?
I do.
Man.
I think down.
Listen, what Darius been dropping some dimes. I'm talking,
He had that one. They've been catching him on these switches, too.
But you knew that was going to happen, though.
They need. So who you expect more from today, Darius or Mobley?
Oh, Evan.
I said the same thing.
Evan.
I think,
Darius. When you say, what do you like? What would be more for Darius?
Well, because I don't think.
Because see, my limit for Darius is.
I think Darius is a little more injured than Evan. I think which prohibits
that turf toe or whatever it is.
It prohibits a lot of what he's gonna do. But I need him to be able to bring the ball up the court.
Okay,
alleviate some of that pressure, and I need him to be a guy that can space the floor.
This is what I know. So last game when Donovan went out in the second half, Darius had to be the ball dominant guy.
Yeah.
And what did he finish with the game with 20?
21-6.
Okay, 21-6.
I mean, does it matter?
We wiped that down.
No, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
does it matter?
Yeah,
I mean, nothing they did in this.
I'm just saying
matters in that game.
I say all that to say this. Donovan, everybody knows Donovan is not 100%. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be 100%. Neither is Darius, but that's not the point.
Okay.
You, at this point, realize the only way we're going to win this game is if everybody brings their best to the table.
Mm-hmm. Like, you have any faith that's going to happen?
If it can't happen at home tonight, then, I'm done with the core four.
Yeah.
They'll be what they said in the chat, the soft four.
But the problem is there's nothing they can do anyway.
We can't gloss over that.
No, we won't gloss
over it. Take that.
Listen, we have 48 minutes of basketball before we have to dissect the future of this team.
I'm just saying cut this. This man has been the strongest defender. He is the Justice League of the core four. This man put the cape on at all times. There is somebody that's getting a purse stolen. Tyus is there in the name of the core four. Listen, that's big, because that means that you believe that there's some serious deficiencies in the roster if they can't get.
Yeah, well, it ain't the coaching no more. I'm almost willing to say they probably put up a better fight with JB as the coach.
This dude was in traffic and then switched his whole life.
Don't even talk about the traffic. The traffic got me livid. One thing about me is I hate being late. Period. And when I'm an hour and 5 minutes late, I'm really livid.
I like road rage Tyus. He out here cooking today.
I done cussed about 100 cars out on my way up here.
Listen, obviously there's going to be serious discussions to be had if and when they lose. We'll get into that and what they could possibly do, because they're in this second apron. I don't know that there's much they can do. We'll get into it. But, I mean, part part of me says, oh, of course they're going to win tonight. They're not going to go down with such
that's
a
what you would think. That's why I'm saying if they lose,
it's just beyond pitiful.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Because
that's exactly my point.
Yeah, I mean, to lose at home in this game.
If you can't show up after getting beat down like that, you can't show up at home with your crowd behind you. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah. The game 6 is supposed to be the game where, you're going to have some stuff to go right.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
But here, you're supposed to come out. You're supposed to hit a couple of shots. The 3 is supposed to be getting down.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be, the defensive intensity is supposed to be picked up. And if nothing more, you tell your guy, because your role guys is going to pay better at home in Rocket Mortgage, right?
Are you guys excited? Like, I'm finding it hard to get excited about the game.
No, I ain't. Nope.
No, because it makes it worse because I'm watching these other series, and like you said earlier,
it was right there.
There's
the Celtics going down. Oh man, this was it. Like it was like last year when they lost that last game and we watched the Pacers go against all these hurt teams and like that. Like, bro, they handing y'all the championship on a platter. Not saying that the Knicks wouldn't be hard to beat, but they handed it to you on a platter.
You had home court,
and all you had to do was inbound the ball in game 2. That's it. That's what makes this whole thing bad.
You can't say that.
Yes, you can, because worst case scenario is 2-2 right now.
You don't know how the other games would have gone if they had won that game. Might have been different.
That's why you don't leave it
Maybe Darius wouldn't have played game 3 if they had won game 2. We'll never know.
It's tough. It's tough.
Game 2 is the big misstep. Because if you split in Indy after splitting at home, it's 2-2 tonight with
of course, it'd be a totally different story. If it's 2-2 right now, we'd be excited. Yeah. We'd all be expecting them to win this series if it was 2-2.
And we'd all be sitting there like, oh, yeah, we're going to beat the Knicks. We're going to the ship. People would have been booking tickets.
He said, listen, the Denver Nuggets is making OKC bleed. You're like, oh, man, SGA, man, he ain't open 24 hours like he was during the regular season. The grocery store.
By the way, did you guys see the end of that game 4?
Yeah.
That was I think the worst I'd ever seen Jokic play was the end of game 4.
Yeah, they're giving him legit fits.
He was terrible.
They're giving him legit
fits. He was missing easy shots. He missed 3 out of 4 free throws.
Yeah, he was not great during the end of that.
Like you said, you get an opportunity, Minnesota, you may see in the finals.
The Warriors are done.
Minnesota, you can take a look at right now, you got the Knicks, who the Cavs have been playing better against. The Boston Celtics, even if they win this series, look like they're supremely hobbled. And then you got the Indiana Pacers, and it's just like, man, here's my thing. If you're a number 1 seed, at some point, don't you have to have some number 1 seed type stuff happen? Yeah. Where's the explosion where Donovan gets 40 and another person gets 30?
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to Oklahoma City at the end of Oklahoma City was down 7 in the middle of the fourth quarter, down 2-1 in the series. They could have easily lost that game against a team that's won a championship before.
Facts.
And they fought hard, played great in the final 6 minutes and won.
This is what has been part of what has frustrated me beyond belief about this series for Cleveland. In Game 4, OKC Denver. What did OKC, rely on more than anything else in that game, Bull?
Defense.
And what was their best trait throughout the regular season?
Offense.
No, they were the best defensive team in the league. They went back to their core. They got back to what do we do better than any team in basketball.
Great defense down the stretch.
They held Denver to 8 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
35 in the first half. It looked like 90s basketball.
And the final 6 minutes of the game, I don't know how much Denver scored, but it wasn't a lot.
It was a rock fight. No, they could barely score. The Cavs this season have built their entire identity off this free-flowing offensive style, right? Movement, getting to the paint, drawing the defense into rotation, kicking the ball out, making open threes. I have some numbers real quick I had pulled. I was saving this for the Cavs show. Mm-hmm. We're doing a live Cavs show tomorrow morning, win or lose, by the way, so Jason and I will be live tomorrow with that. But these are some numbers in the series. During the regular season, they averaged 52 drives per game. Against Indy, it's down to 47.5. Paint touches, 2 more in the regular season than they're doing in Indy. 3-point shooting. They shot 38.3%. They're shooting 30.2% against Indy on wide open threes. They were the number 1 team in the NBA, shooting 42% on wide open threes. Against Indy, they're 27.1%. That would be
so they're worse on open threes than they are non-open threes.
And not only is that 27.1% the lowest in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It would be the lowest in the NBA by 8 percentage points.
But that's not.
They've gotten away from everything that made this offense so dynamic.
The wide open thing.
They've reverted back to an injuries played a part. They've reverted back into Donovan Mitchell, isolation basketball. This is the exact thing we watched in both the JV playoff series with Donovan. It was Donovan and nobody. This postseason series against Indy has been Donovan and nobody, which we spent 82 games in the regular season looking at an offense that resembled nothing of that.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, they're back against the wall. We have gone exactly back to the JV Bickerstaff offense.
The wide open thing number is skewed, though, because there's only about 2 people that's wide open. Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade.
According to NBA, they track anything as wide open as a defender that is not within 6 feet.
So how many wide open threes have the Cavs taken?
They're averaging 15.1 per game. They're making 4 of those.
That's 50. That's not just Okoro and Wade. Those guys aren't taking that many shots.
Well, I mean, they do take shots.
Okoro and Wade are completely useless. They cannot play in the playoffs. And the Cavs, again, we'll talk about it after the season, but they cannot be in the rotation. They shouldn't even be on the team. They shouldn't be in the league.
Jeez.
I agree with you, McNuggets. I agree with I agree with this. Here's the problem that I have. Now watch this. Under JB Bickerstaff, what were the Cavs known for?
Defense.
Yeah.
It's the same team. How can you just say, think about it. Think about how great they could be. Under Kenny Atkinson, right?
Offense.
They're one of the best offensive teams we've seen.
Second best offensive rating in the history of the NBA.
I think that's a flawed stat.
One year, and 1 year prior with JB Bickerstaff, perennially the Cavs are a top 5 defensive team.
Yeah,
they got the defensive player of the year. Jared Allen is supposedly a great defensive player. Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade are good defensive players.
Yeah.
Why is it that now, when your shots aren't falling, everything else goes away. You completely fall apart? How is that possible?
That's bad leadership.
A lot of people like that, though.
But if your mentality was defense,
it's not no more.
How do you change that?
When you start scoring a bunch of points,
you just don't care.
Guys, they during the season there were often times when they played very good defense.
They finished as a top 8 defensive.
Mike, let me tell you something else. I know you're in love with these analytics. I'm an analytics guy myself. The analytics on offense in the NBA, I don't know how they're created, this rating or whatever. It's bullshit. Let's face it.
It's point score. It's the very basic. It's point score per 100 possessions.
Mike.
I'm
just telling you the reality. I'm not making it up.
Let me tell you the reality.
I'm not making it up.
I've watched basketball for 45 years. I may not be an expert, but I know this. There's no way the Cavs are the second best offensive team in the history of basketball. And
I'm not saying they were.
No reasonable person could
I'm saying
consider
by
that.
one metric, they had the second most
and that metric should be thrown in the trash. Because the idea that the Thunder and Cavs this year are the 2 best offensive teams of all time.
No,
shows you the status
Thunder
flawed.
Was the best. The Thunder had the 5th best offense of all time.
Whatever. 2 of the top 5. So that shows the status flawed and there's recency
the top
bias.
7 offense. And it's because the 3-point shot has changed everything.
Because guys just chuck threes. They don't play defense anymore.
If the Warriors ain't on the list, it's flawed.
No, look. Or here's
if the Warriors ain't number 1, the list is flawed.
That list when like the 18 Warriors quit. That's what. Or you go back to the 99. You go back to the 99-2000 Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. Shaq was getting you talk about. They was getting the best of all the shots. They was right there.
Shaq was.
I mean the 98 Bulls. These guys are lethal.
Dude, any of those Celtics and Lakers teams from the 80s,
the Showtime,
way better offensively than these teams. I don't care what guys.
Because when those teams, here's how I describe unstoppable.
Yeah.
They're gonna get you with. They would run the triangle offense, and they would get the ball to Kobe and Shaq, and he was a mid-range king, and they still had guys who could shoot threes and do things like that. Plus, you had Shaq, but push come to shove, they can scrap all that and go pick and roll and just kill you that way, or they can scrap all of that and just say we gonna ISO the post, and you ain't got nothing for it, your whole team, or we could just say Kobe. Move out the way. Go to work. They got 5 different ways that they can get buckets, and it don't matter. The Cavs literally have 2. They got ball movement and Donovan take over. Sometimes on possibly DG break the defense down.
They were an elite shooting team during the regular season.
I just don't understand how you go from this offense to what it looked like in the regular season to just the Donovan show. Like that, I don't understand.
Guys,
like how? What? Don't get me wrong. I know playoff basketball is totally different. My goodness. My goodness, G. Nobody.
Bro, you played with players that went to Ohio State.
I'm not about to stand there and look at nobody.
But guess what? You play with guys and you be like, this guy was highly recruited. And then you get him on the field, you be like, that was in practice. But then you got guys that's a little bit better. They ball against Northwestern. But when guys play against Michigan, you ain't seen nobody fold against Michigan? You ain't seen nobody?
Me? No.
You right.
Me personally? Like when I play? No.
No, I'm talking about you ain't seen nobody on your team fold against good competition.
No. We ain't raised like that.
I do.
I wasn't with nobody that I messed with was raised like that.
I do remember.
Who?
I do remember a game.
Eli Apple.
I do remember
Eli never folded against them.
I do remember a game that it was a snowy game against Michigan State, and all y'all had to do was run the ball.
It wasn't. First of all, it wasn't snowing. It was raining.
Same difference.
Secondly,
it was snowing in my head.
You said the team up north. You didn't say Michigan State.
The Michigan State boys came down there with a backup quarterback, I did not understand it. To this day, Urban Meyer, you cost me a lot that game. You cost me a lot. All you had to do was turn around and give it to Zeke, and you didn't.
Well,
too busy filling up COVID. Sorry.
I won't blame the offense. We had them backed up. Our offense was struggling. We should have got to stop, and we let them get like a 12-yard.
I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to bring to the table.
On a semi-related note, did you hear what Urban Meyer said about Bill Belichick?
What did he say?
No.
He said that he thought his girlfriend was a little too old.
This dude
you messed up.
Said that when we talked about.
You so messed
there
up.
will be no slander. There will be no Bill Belichick.
What's wrong with him?
There will be no slandering of that queen. She's doing her thing.
She really like that to you.
Man,
what's that?
She really float your boat like that.
Hey, Bill out here.
First of all, it's gross that they're dating because he's so much older than it's really gross.
I really don't know what
she's gorgeous.
I don't know what she looks
medieval. It's medieval times.
She might as well be walking him on a leash the way you.
So you saying she would have had you sprung like that too?
I mean, not now because I'm an adult and I can, I'm married and I'm not making a decision to spend my time with a child. But if I were single and younger, yeah, 100%.
Bull will be right. Bull will come to the show the next week. They be like, "What happened to me? You RX?" I don't need all that. He come with a 3-piece suit. Bull is 225. I've been eating a lot of vegetables.
All right, we got Albert?
We do. We got our guest. A quick reminder, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, we are doing a special NFL schedule release live stream on the UCSS channel. We'll find out who the Browns are playing at 8. G. Bush, myself, and Earl will be live with you guys to break down the schedule.
You want to jump on?
When they're playing who. Tyus, if you want to hop on, you can hop on. But that is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. As soon as the schedule is released, we'll be live on the UCSS channel. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in NFL insider Albert Breer to the show. How you doing today, Albert?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Albert, we're doing good. Tyus claims that no Ohio State player has ever shrunk in the big moment as the biggest Ohio State fan.
No, that's not what I said. When I played, that's what I said. Okay. My team, 12 to 15.
Yeah,
we never shrunk in the moment.
They've all been at their best in the biggest moments. You're saying so. That's like Zeke, Bosa, Eli Apple, Arian Conley, Michael Thomas, Taylor Decker.
They were loaded back there too.
I mean, I can't think of too many that really puked all over themselves in a big moment. I don't know.
I gave it to him.
I was pretty upset on the night of the Michigan State game at the end of 14.
Hey, Albert. Stop bringing that up. It never happened. Think everybody keep bringing that. G gonna bring that up. We done with that.
Albert, this on an unrelated note, but Shador Sanders yesterday. So the coverage in Cleveland on a rookie minicamp is insane.
Over the top. Yeah.
It's great. Zack Jackson, you know Zack, right, who covers the Browns. So Zack was on our show yesterday talking about Shador Sanders. He said, for what it's worth, with no pads and no defense, he thought in terms of arm talent, he looked way better than Dillon Gabriel. He said it wasn't even close. That video had over 70,000 views on our show because Shador Sanders is magic for media. The coverage of him is crazy. Have you ever seen anything like this?
I mean, I've seen it in Cleveland before, right? Cleveland's the capital of this sort of thing. You had Johnny Manziel there, you had Baker there, Deshaun coming over in the trade. I feel like this is actually the sort of situation that Cleveland's been in the middle of a lot, over the last 15 years. Now, if you're asking me, have I ever seen this with a 5th round pick before? The answer is no, right? Because it's such a unique situation from that standpoint. But we've seen it with quarterbacks before, for sure, where there's a lot of hoopla over their arrival in a place. And, I think this is part of what you sign up for when you take him. And it's part of the reason, quite honestly, why he fell. I would say this, and I know I've said this a lot of different places. I'm sure you guys have heard me, but I think Shador fell out of the 1st and 2nd round because of talent and performance. I think the fall beyond that was because of everything else. And the reality is that most teams want their backup quarterbacks to blend in with the furniture. For better or worse, that's what it is. He's the 40th guy in your roster, the 45th guy in your roster, whatever it is, and you don't want that guy creating any sort of disruption to the rest of the team. He's going to be a resource to the starter. He's going to give you depth, and that's going to be that. And I think for that reason, it's the same sort of dynamic that existed like Cam Newton, Jay Cutler, why they didn't have an extension of their careers in the back end. Tim Tebow, Colin Kaepernick, same thing. Most coaches, when you're talking about a 2nd or a 3rd string quarterback, will look at the guy who's got a high profile and then say, no, give me the anonymous guy over there.
To your point, I actually, Albert, will give Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry a little bit of credit. Actually, I give them a lot of credit because it would have just been easier to just take Dillon Gabriel and say, all right, we got Dillon Gabriel, we got 3 quarterbacks, we got 2 veterans, let's keep them moving. But they actually took a chance on Shador, and then they didn't even pour cold water on it. They said, and we're going to give him an opportunity to compete. I'll give them credit. The easiest thing in the world for 2 guys that won 3 games for the Cleveland Browns and with 2 first-round draft picks to go get somebody next year, gave him an opportunity. And it just shows me that they have a little bit of job security, maybe, or they may think they can develop him in a way and get something out of for a value.
Well, I think we're also a product of our own experiences, too. And I think the last couple of years maybe and I haven't talked to either of them about this specifically, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud here on this one. 2 years ago, they had Joe Flacco come in, and he played really well, and they win, 11 games, I think, and they make the playoffs. Even with everything else that had gone out on there and Deshaun out of the equation and everything else. And, I think being in that situation 2 years ago, they looked at it and they said, okay, in 24, we got to come back and we got to be solidly behind Deshaun. And so that's why Joe Flacco wasn't there last year, is because they felt like that would be introducing some level of chaos into the quarterback room. And they wanted to show that we're going to be this team is Deshaun's team. And so they bring in Jameis Winston instead, who didn't have the history in that specific locker room that Flacco had. And quite honestly, it didn't work, so I think now you look at it, and maybe if you kind of look at those 2 years as a mosaic, you say, let's just go back to giving ourselves every option we can possibly give ourselves and see what happens. And I think that may be the lesson of the last 2 years. And whether or not it works, we'll see. But they're throwing a lot of darts at the dartboard. And, again, this is sort of the opposite of what they did last year, where last year was let's see how much we can get out of Deshaun Watson. This is more, let's see how much we can get out of the quarterback position by trying multiple guys there.
Albert, let me zoom you out from the quarterback position, and let me take you to the linebacker. Obviously, they drafted Carson Schwarzenegger with the 2nd-round pick. JOK's news came out yesterday that he won't be playing this season. What did you see from him in the rookie mini camp that gives you hope that maybe he could be a good fit to replace JOK this season?
Well, I wasn't there, so I didn't see anything, but I can tell you what I've heard. Okay. I would just, look, this is something the Browns have had their eyes wide open on this, and the head and neck injuries. Obviously, I think we all can agree. Wish JOK the best. If that doesn't include football, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, hopefully he comes out of this healthy and can live a good long life either way. Because I know how serious those things are. But the Browns have had their eyes wide open on this, and they signed Jerome Baker in the offseason, and then they were actually sniffing around on trading for veteran linebackers in the week leading up to the draft. Pete Warner from the Saints was one they made a call on. Obviously, there was a coaching change down there, and that's the sort of thing where you at least make the call and see. And then they wind up with Carson Schlesinger, who, every year there will be like a handful of things that I'll remember that, after making a zillion phone calls, all 32 teams, all of that just kind of stick out. And Schlesinger actually was one of the guys that elicited one of them. And an executive for a team, not the Browns, said to me a day or two before the draft, he said, I'm not sure if he's going to go in the first round. But that guy made so many plays that it was difficult to evaluate the other defensive players at UCLA. Like he was so all over the tape that it was hard for me to get a good read on the other guys on that tape because of him. And so I think that's what you're going to see is like a guy whose instincts are off the charts, who's a good athlete, who had to earn it as a walk-on, and can make a good impact, And so you've got a backstop with a veteran in Jerome Baker, but you got an exciting young prospect, and maybe you still look at some more veteran options. But they've been pretty prepared for the news they wound up getting on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Albert, with the retirement of Derek Carr, I know the assumption has been that Aaron Rodgers would go to Pittsburgh. Is there a chance that New Orleans is interested, and would he be interested in them?
Yeah, it would just be hard for me to see how you do that financially with everything they're dealing with and the contract situation being what it is. I think Aaron would have to go there for a lot less. I'm not sure what will pull him there. And then, to me, guys, I look at where the Saints are right now, and this is a very natural point where they can separate, right? Like this is a very natural point where they can say, this is a time for us to, and a time that sort of arose organically for us to hit the reset button and get younger. And maybe this is the last year for Demario Davis. Maybe this is the last year for Tyrann Mathieu. We're going to have to make a decision on guys who are younger players who we like coming into contract situations like Chris Olave. They've got a good base of talent on their offensive line, but elsewhere they need a lot of help, and I think this is, to me at least, shining, flashing red lights. It's time to reset with a new coaching staff and start again. And, I don't know that necessarily it will be for Aaron, it will be the chance to play inside. It'd be a chance to play with a coach who's done a great job with quarterbacks over the years in Kellen Moore. And you do have some talent there, a good offensive line. You'd be throwing to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and some of the guys that are there. But I just don't know that the timelines match up the way that they do, or that they would, as far as where you are in your building process as they do with the Steelers and Rodgers himself.
You just mentioned something, and I'm going to drag you back into the quarterback realm. You said timelines, and timelines are very important in terms of, all right, what is our plan here? A lot of people in the city that are local who cover the team believe Kenny Pickett has the odds-on favorite, best chance and opportunity to start week one. And I don't know. I don't think necessarily that's the case. I would say Joe Flacco at this point. Yeah. But if you're looking at those two guys, and then you got the younger guys, the young pups who coming along, what is the game plan? Is this year about seeing how many games you can win with the veterans, or is the referendum seeming to be can we see if we got a quarterback in one of these young guys? What's the timeline for this, given the horizon of next year and the urgency of getting a quarterback if you do have 2 first-round picks?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think you either collapse under the weight of this and now you're looking for a quarterback, or you have some sort of viable answer on your roster that can at least be a bridge for now, right? Like, and so, I think the plan is to let them go out and compete in the spring and May and June, and there's only so many reps to go around when you get to July and August, and you've got to get a team ready to play in week 1. So you would hope that, in the limited action that they get in the spring, you're at least going to have an idea of what the pecking order is and who is actually in the competition and capable of starting week 1 for you. The fascinating thing to me is the investment that they've made in these guys. The guarantees in Joe Flacco's contract and Kenny Pickett's contract are virtually identical. So that means the penalty for walking away from either of those guys is the same. So do I think there's a chance that one of those guys, gets cut and the other one wins the job? I certainly think there's a possibility of that. But then that would necessitate one of the rookies being ready to be your backup. And there's a lot that goes into that as well. So you have to determine whether or not those guys are ready to be the backup. That, of course, is ruling out that one of those guys, Gabriel or Sanders, catches fire and wins the job outright. And so, let's say then that, you figure neither of those guys are ready to be the backup. So then do you keep 4? Do you cut one of the 2 rookies? And this is without even accounting for the fact that Deshaun Watson, what if he's cleared in November or something? So I just think there's a lot to sort out. And because of the timelines, a lot of coaches will tell you they try to use the spring to teach and to educate players and to install their system and everything else. And then, you don't really compete until you get to the summer. But I do think, given the numbers here, that you have to, if you're a Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees, and the offensive staff, at least come out of the spring with an idea of what the competition is going to look like when you get to camp.
Albert, if I remember correctly, I think the Browns finished dead last in offense last year, if I'm correct. When you look at this offseason that they've had, obviously the Deshaun contract holds a big part of why they can't do a lot of things, but they got some guys in the draft, maybe signed some guys here and there. And they're going back to Kevin's offense. With that being said, do you think they have enough to even be able to evaluate these quarterbacks correctly? Because is the talent there, I should say, around the quarterbacks?
What's crazy, Tyus? I think the left tackle position might be as important as quarterback. And I know that sounds crazy because no one's going to be talking about that the same way they're talking about the quarterback. But that's a position where if you strike out on a high first-round pick, you sometimes wind up chasing it for years. And so, the Jedrick Wills thing going the way that it did, and that went wrong for a number of different reasons. Injuries, one of them. You know what I mean? I think the football makeup of the players, another one. But regardless, now, what can DeJuan Jones be at left tackle? And that's a huge swing factor in what the Browns offense looks like this year, because I think we've seen dozens of examples of it over the years of offensive lines that have fallen apart under the weight of having an issue at left tackle. So that's a huge one to me. I think they've got enough. I think they're getting to a point at receiver where they've got enough, right? I think Jerry Reed has a chance to be a number 1 if he can be focused and be where he needs to be on a consistent basis. I think he's got a chance. And then you got Njoku, you got him at a tight end. And then I love what they did with the running backs in the draft and bringing in both Judkins and Sampson. So, I think so much of this really boils down to what happens at left tackle. Because if DeJuan Jones can wind up being a top half of the league left tackle, well, then you're pretty good on the offensive line, and I think a lot of other things will fall into place.
Albert, let's wrap it up with a question about 2 different players here that I'm curious to see what you think is going to happen. Nick Chubb, obviously, it's going to be painful for all of us to see him in another uniform, but if his career is going to continue, that's what's going to happen. So where do you think he's going to end up? And how does the Trey Hendrickson situation in Cincinnati resolve itself?
And you're still a Bengals fan, huh?
Always.
That's
Always.
That's not the question. Yeah. The Chubb, with Chubb, I hear other people talking about. I love Nick Chubb. I think he is. I think it goes without saying. His place in Browns history is cemented. He's just a guy who set such a tremendous tone for so many people there, and was such an excellent player, fought through so much. He had like so many injury problems before even getting to the pros.
Yeah.
Like almost Frank Gore in that way, you know, like so. With all due respect to all of that, he averaged 3.3 yards per carry last year, and I think we can all admit that he wasn't the same, and that's the main reason why the Browns have put themselves in a position where they turn over that spot. So. Like, where's he going to end up? I think he could be one of these guys where you look up at the end of July and he's waiting for something to open up somewhere. Yeah. And maybe it happens in the spring where somebody gets into their OTAs and decides we don't really like what we have at running back, and so we need to add something. Maybe that's somebody like Dallas, like that could relate to how Jaden Blue does, the rookie they drafted out of Texas. Like, what does that look like? And if that doesn't look quite the way you're hoping, do you go and get Nick Chubb to help shore up that position or help mentor your rookie? Is there another situation where you feel like you need an every down guy, like more of a traditional every down guy who can get out of the tough yards, and that sort of situation could exist as well. As for Trey Hendrickson, this has become a really unpredictable situation. I mean, one day he's putting a statement out, the next day he's walking to practice with his teammates, there's a lot of history there too. Like, this has been an issue for the last couple of years. This is not new, and as you guys know, like when a player has to wait an extra year or two, that's not going to move him off his stance. That's not going to make him more likely to take the hometown discount. So. I think the Bengals will be motivated to get something done, in part because they want to keep their quarterback happy, but I think it remains a pretty unpredictable situation.
Albert, great insight as always. We appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Albert.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Albert Breer, who's a huge Buckeyes fan, of course.
Mm-hmm. Go Bucks.
And he brought up the Michigan State game, too.
I know. It must be like one of the most devastating losses.
One of the most devastating was the Virginia Tech loss.
What, you want me to slap you today?
See, Tyus
waiting for that reaction.
Tyus don't know I be downloading these. I got a lot of time on my hands. What are you doing?
That was shocking.
I said they had that little quarterback run around there. What is his name?
Yeah. What was his name?
He's working. He's working at Olive Garden as a he's a district manager. Like it's like 3 or 4 Olive Gardens.
I thought you were going to say he was the guy that puts the Parmesan cheese on you.
No, and we all know. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
What do you mean?
The Parmesan cheese. They ask you, do you want to keep going?
Oh, yeah.
No,
yeah, right.
Tell me when.
Tell me when.
Tell me when. Yeah.
And I'll be just sitting there chilling.
Let's go. All right, Mike. What do we got?
Only got 3 super chats, so we'll get the super chats in. Then we actually didn't end up giving our picks for the Cavs. We somehow
so let's do
did
that.
2 Cavs topics and didn't actually make our official predictions.
Yep.
So we will do super chats, then we will make our predictions for Cavs Pacers Game 5. All three super chats, come from Charles T. Booby.
Booby Miles?
Yeah, it's Charles T. and then in parentheses. Booby.
Shout out, Charles. I think he's in Germany now.
He is in Germany. He's our most loyal German watcher.
That's what's up, man.
For sure.
More than your sister.
Yeah, I don't think my sister watches very frequently. First one from Charles, who says, "Welp, it wasn't JB shaking my head."
JB out here rolling right now.
JB trying to tell y'all.
Next up, only Cleveland would be saying Flacco is hands down the starter. He sucked with the Jets before Cleveland, sucked after with the Colts. He can't be your future. He should be looked at as the break in case of emergency quarterback.
Well, A, nobody thinks he's their future.
Yeah.
B, I know you said, I don't think you said it's a lock that he's a starter.
No, I was talking in terms of Kenny Pickett versus Joe Flacco. I would say, well, Flacco's been here. I would give him a little edge to beat out Kenny Pickett. Now, you already know who.
Nobody thinks Joe Flacco's any kind of long-term solution.
Yeah.
Even if he's the starter, he's not going to play the whole year.
No, he's going to fall off the cliff at some point.
You already know it. Like, come on.
Don't exaggerate.
I'm the 5,000 guy. I want 5,000. I'm Project Stockpile. You should know who I want to start.
Go ahead, Mike.
Last one from Charles, who says 100% this season should be let's see what the rookies have ahead of next year's NFL draft. Not let's give Flacco a good NFL farewell season. That's the Ravens' job, not Cleveland.
Agreed, but you don't want to put them in before you think they're ready to play. So if one of these rookies kicks ass and he's ready to play week 1, if Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel just kill it. And they're clearly ready to play week 1. Then 100% I'd play them.
We're going to get scrimmage. We're going to get. They got 2
joint practices.
They got 2 joint practices.
Yep.
They got 3 scrimmages.
Is them joint practices here?
No. I think they're both on the road, aren't they, Mike?
Dang.
Aren't both of the joint practices on the road?
I am 97.5% confident that yes, they're doing both on the road, and that's why they're not going to the Greenbrier. They're doing both their joint sessions.
I wanted to go see them.
Now, McNuggets. Did somebody said that UCSS is doing live? No, I'm playing.
Yeah, G, you put us up to that, and we're gonna do something. But let's just have an honest conversation real quick because Jay brought it up on Friday. I know you brought it up on Saturday.
Here we go.
We are a fully streamed internet show. The parking lot in Berea may have Wi-Fi, may not.
They got some internet?
Sure.
Yeah.
We, to fully stream a show, need not just working Wi-Fi, but very good Wi-Fi connection. Preferably an Ethernet plug-in. I'm not sure if the Berea Media Lot has a Ethernet plug-in.
Right.
We also would need to need a trailer to get chairs out there. Or a table or something. So
why can't we go to practice some of those days and then do the show back here at like a later time?
In theory, we could do something like that.
Yeah.
Jay had mentioned let's do a live show from the parking lot.
I mean, Jay's up
without
top.
thinking of some of the logistics that.
Yeah, well, Jay just throws stuff out there sometimes.
And then
we all do.
And then I get tweeted at and I'm just trying to tell people.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
We set him all up.
It sounds great. There is some logistics that go into.
We don't even know yet what time the Browns are practicing.
No, we have no idea yet.
They haven't made that schedule.
They typically practice right when we're on, which has been an issue in the past with us getting.
I thought they practiced at like 1 to 3 or something like that.
It's been 12
in the past. I remember when Dustin and I were going to Browns training camp. When I was at the Fan, when we would go to training camp, we'd be there every day. They had practice, and practice would end about 3 because we'd always have the coaches interview at 3 and a player right after that. So yes, but doesn't mean it couldn't change.
I went to I went to OTAs. Did I go last year? I think I went.
Remember when you told us you thought Deshaun
that was 2
Tom
years.
Brady?
That was 2 years ago.
Practice you had ever seen.
That's true.
And Elijah Moore was goated after that.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
You did goat Elijah Moore.
That's 2 years ago. Hey, listen, the barbershop used to go on Saturdays. We used to be there every Saturday.
That's right.
Posted up in the tent.
So we'll see. We'll figure it out. Once we know the times, we'll figure some things out.
We're working on a way to get you guys some live coverage from camp. It is just
we just can't broadcast from camp because we're not we don't carry the Browns.
We don't got to break. Now, WKYC,
no, because they're not a partner.
I just said that.
So,
I just said that.
just to clarify, it is not simply as easy as we're just going to do a live show.
It's not. We'll figure something out.
Keep hitting McNuggets up.
I got some ideas, but let's wait and see.
Another idea, we have 90 seconds.
Flooded.
I have an idea for when days that, let's say, G, you're not on, right?
Yeah.
We'll send G out there. When G's back on the next day, he comes in and tells us what he sees. Because nothing changes. They don't practice again.
Or we could bring him on remotely from there.
Yeah.
Well, if they practice at 3, we're off air.
Oh, yeah. Well.
That's what I'm saying. So
right.
That'd be crazy.
G, have him come back on the next day. So we have options.
Yeah.
We are credentialed. Just, it's not as easy as picking up the show.
Did you everybody get credentialed?
We've been credentialed.
We could always get them like on a day-by-day basis.
It's usually practice-by-practice submissions. So
all right.
Let's make our Cavs picks. We didn't actually make official predictions. Tyus,
prediction.
Who wins tonight? Is it close? How do you see Game 5 playing out?
Cavs win 105-96.
So a 9-point victory. They would cover.
Cavs win by 15. 122 to 1.
They're going to sell hope tonight.
What is that, 107? 122, 107?
Yeah, it's 15.
I got the Cavs by 8 to 10 points, something like that.
He's so disappointed by it.
Yeah.
It messed your whole.
He disgusted that he gonna do this.
8 to 10. Listen. So if they do win today, we all got them winning.
We're gonna.
I actually will make it 4 for 4. I think this is a game where the Cavs look very good.
I told y'all about this.
Indy has the bit of a letdown on the road, knowing they have Game 6 at home.
And they pocket.
They just played an incredible game in Game 4. There's due to be some sort of regression, some sort of improvement from Cleveland. I think Cleveland wins this one, looks good, and we talk ourselves into this being a competitive series.
On the other hand, if they lose tonight, we're destroying them.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yes.
I might come in just to. No, I won't.
Are they playing at 8 tonight?
It's 7 o'clock TNT.
Okay.
Man, I can't even. That's too early to go to sleep right after the game. So this sucks.
This 4:45 wake up, man. I gotta get into bed early now. So
shout out to the Danny Boys Rocky River Little League team. We've won 2 in a row.
Yeah, tell us about Aaron. You got 30 seconds. Aaron's
he went 0 for 2 with 5 RBIs, an unheard of line score. He had a sacrifice fly, a 2-run sacrifice fly because it was a deep ball, and my runner from second just flew around the bases. And then he got what should have been a 2-run single, but he had a brain fart, and he didn't run to first. He stopped, and then he started running, but they threw him out of first, but he knocked in 2 runs.
Bad coaching. We'll discuss it. That and the playoffs
my fault.
in a second.